Alright, everyone, I want to welcome you to the Cult of Larry Draft League for our Week 7 recap. My name's Dr. Geo, with me is,
P McGee.
and we are going to go over all the exciting happenings here for the Week 7 in our league. We're going to go through all three divisions, we're going to be covering every single match, and we're going to go a little further in depth in three matches, one from each league. And then we'll also be covering standings for each league so we can see how these playoff races are shaping up. If you like this content, give it a like, subscribe, no one cares.
You know the deal.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting the same view counts on all these videos, so it's the same exact people watching them every week, and which I think is amazing. That's really cool to me. Like, we have an audience, they play in the league, and they're here.
We enjoy it, and we thank you for tuning in every week because it helps justify us keep making it.
I mean, I'm going to make these if nobody watches them, to be honest.
Sometimes they're just for us.
Yeah,
just like to talk about things.
So, alright, let's get to it. So, let's bring this up. And coming up, so the first match of the week is between the Richland Raichus and the Sunset Soul Rocks, and it's a forfeit. Whoa, that got weird. Okay, it just got weird on one end. It's fine, yeah, it was a forfeit match. Emma wasn't able to make the agreed upon time, so Tide takes it 3-0.
It doesn't technically, but that probably gives them.
For all intents and purposes, they're in playoffs now.
Yeah, I'd be shocked to see a 6-3 team miss out. I've not seen that happen in a league before, so
I think they're basically in. So next up is the New York Yamas, coached by Jordan, coming up against Denton Zoroark, coached by Spirit Union, and this is our featured match, so I'm not even going to touch this. Like, look at this.
Back.
Like, we're in the third match already.
Cruising.
This next match is between the Portland Pincers, coached by Jag57, going up against District Darmanitan, coached by Iris. This was also a really good candidate for match of the week. So just keep that in mind if you want to pick up this replay on your own. Let's take a look at the mods they brought. Here on Portland's side, we have a Lantern, Nidoqueen, Rotom, Wacky, Sylveon, and Urshifu Single Strike.
Then on Iris' side, we've got a Celesteela, a Dracovish, a Mega Swampert, a Scrafty, a Pelipper, and a Florges.
So, right off the bat, it's how well can you manage rain?
Yes.
And your little Thwacky there is very much needed. At least you've got the two electric types to kind of manage Celesteela a bit. But Thwacky's on like some big duty here to stop the Mega Swampert. You have Water Absorb Lantern, so Dracovish is less of an issue. It's still an issue. Nidoqueen, is gonna get up hazards, do some things, but like these are some pretty straightforward game plans. It's like with a little bit of chip on Florges, Ironhead or Shifu can take it out because it's not very physically bulky. So there's a lot of like play and counterplay here, and it's like, what do you do that happens? And so let's kind of see what happens here. 1-0, and it's your Shifu picking up 4 kills, and what this match ended up being was almost like a masterclass in how to play endgames, because it was all set up such that there was no more rain and everything had enough chip that her Shifu could just start collecting kills. And you can watch this match, and it isn't really clear who's going to win this match until the last few turns when Pelipper went down.
Yeah. I think an issue Iris ran into, and ultimately I think the reason, one of the big reasons they ultimately lost is that Florges can manage Urshifu, but it wants to run Synthesis, not Wish, because Synthesis is just quicker recovery, so Urshifu doesn't keep wicked blowing you after you Wish again, because you can't protect the turn after the Wish because of Urshifu's ability. So it takes too much time to get Florges back to full health sometimes, whereas Synthesis can just keep you nice and healthy. And this was a Rocky Helmet Florges to really punish Urshifu attacks. But then the Florges kind of gets chipped down and it can't get its health back up quick enough to wall out the Urshifu. And then once the Florges goes down, the game really just derails because Urshifu gets to click Wicked Blow for free, and things just kind of start falling apart. So tough matchup for Florges. Couldn't really click Synthesis, especially because they are also running Rain, so it's only a 25% heal. But well done by Jeg to capitalize on what's his best mon and keep it rolling.
Yes, well done.
I respect the Thwacky Ring. I thought that was fun counterplay to do actual useful things in this matchup.
Oh yeah, it was great. Next we have the Arizona Absols, coached by Robopup, coming up against Team Nuclear Warfare, coached by Tots. Let's see what we've got. On Arizona side, we have the Mega Lopunny, Lycanroc Dusk, Heatran, Krozma, Togekiss, and Hydreigon.
And on Tox's side, we've got the Toxapex, the Clefable, the Mega Sableye, the Gliscor, the Ditto, and the Hisuian Sliggoo. Pretty decent matchup for Tox here, where he, in theory, should kind of just be able to shut things down. Mega Lopunny has no answers for Toxapex. Lycanroc Dusk can't really push through Gliscor. Heatran struggles to break Toxapex as well, or, Hisui and Sliggoo to a degree. It can kind of be a nuisance. Or Mega Sableye, not an easy time for Heatran. Necrozma doesn't really have anything for Mega Sableye. Togekiss really struggles to push through Clefable. Hydreigon really can struggle to push through some of these mons as well, especially Clefable. So in theory, Heatran's the only mon that has an easy time doing anything in this matchup, or a relatively easy time. Everything else just kind of get walled out. And even Heatran doesn't really have answers for Gliscor because of Earthquake access and residual healing from Poison Heal, and Heatran can't Toxic spam it. So this should, in theory, be a really comfortable match for Tox to just stall.
It should.
Good.
Good. But it's a 6-0, and it's just it's another week of Tox struggling to play the stall out correctly.
This team is fine. I don't like stall teams, but it's a perfectly well drafted stall team to do exactly what it's designed to do, and he has all of the right pieces to get the most out of it. Because Mega Sableye is really critical on stall teams just for its magic bounce ability, so you can keep taunts in check and things like that. Just bounce back those taunts. So this is a team really well suited for stall play. It just doesn't seem like Tox is comfortable piloting it that way, and he keeps trying to slide into offensive modes or leaving behind crucial defensive pieces for other alternatives. So I don't think he's gotten the best utility out of it this season. I think he's struggled to get comfortable with the team he drafted, but I think the team he drafted is fine.
It seems like a mismatch between playstyle and mons.
Yeah.
Enough team.
Yeah, so they just didn't mesh unfortunately, and Hope takes advantage and gets a needed win.
Alright, so we'll take a look at another match here. This is St. Louis Charizards, coached by Zardace, going up against the Vancouver Pavilions, coached by Soul. See what they brought. Here on the Charizard Aces side, we have Dragapult, Heliolisk, Weezinglar, Mega Medicham, Umbreon, and Rillaboom.
Then on Soul's side, we've got the Garchomp, the Corviknight, the Infernape, the Rabombi, the Drapion, and the Tangrowth.
Hey, so this is actually a pretty interesting matchup with some nice give and take between the two sides.
So Rabombi has a lot to do here. Rabombi smacks, especially if it's a Psychic set.
Yeah, I was thinking you throw Psychic on it, and all of a sudden, not really any switch-ins. Weezing is not a fan of Psychic. Even a Specs Moonblast is gonna hurt Weezing.
Specs Moonblast can probably 2-hit KO almost everything. Weezing, it's probably just in 3-hit KO range. So if Weezing's getting chip, Rabombi just starts claiming KOs later in a game.
Yeah, and even then, if you U-turn and Weezing may not want to stay in on the Chomp depending on how you build your Weezing. I would assume C-Chomp, then Weezing is kind of set up to deal with it. But if it's a special Infernape, probably isn't because of the Dragapult. But if it was, then Weezing's trouble there. So there's some definite nice play, but having said that, it is a Rabambi. Mega Medicham has that bullet punch, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that do over 100% just because it feels good.
Mummy zero bulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soul's got some good answers to Mega Med. Corv, Tang, if they're both running helmets, can really make it tough on Mega Med. Tangrowth's a really great Mega Med answer just because of Regenerator and Rocky Helmet lets it really switch in repeatedly on that as long as it can stay out of high jump kick KO range. Although it's worth noting that there isn't really a safe switch on Soul's side from high jump kick, so high jump kick is quite spammable here on just about everything.
Can't miss, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kind of see what happened here. And we see it's a 5-0 for Soul. And that was off the back of a Sword Stance Drapion.
Yeah, that sounds correct. Umbreon doesn't really have an easy way to deal with that. And then if you...
I'm guessing, because I don't remember the exact details, I'm guessing Weezing just got super chipped down before Trap set up.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have coverage for it. And unless it wasn't Levitate, and then it has Earthquake. So
yeah, but I don't think that was the situation just because Rillaboom makes Earthquake pretty unappealing. Either way, Drop wasn't really the mon you'd expect to pop off in this match. You know, it doesn't outspeed Mega Medicham, Dracopult, or Heliolisk. It doesn't have an easy time.
If Zardice wasn't careful and he's adamant,
yeah,
it could outspeed.
This is true. It is worth noting. Drapion is one of those mons you don't always anticipate running max speed just because it doesn't usually need it to. But I don't remember the speed investments for this matchup. I don't remember how that situation played out. But Drop did pop off in the end to get some needed KOs to secure a win. And all the offensive pieces that Soul had that were expected to dominate didn't really contribute anything in the KO board.
Yeah. Let's along. So next up we have the Midwestern Moltres, coached by Pro Shuriken, going up against the Delaware Dodrio, coached by Hysterically. Let's see what the mons are. Here on Midwestern side, we have Landorus, Crawdaunt, Regieleki, Zygarde, Tapu Fini, and Kartana.
Please side, we've got the Latios, the Mandibuzz, the Roserade, the Mienshao, the Donphan, and the Scizor.
I gotta say, it's a lot of the same mons coming every week for Pro Shuriken, but I really kind of like this team and how Crawdaunt keeps, finding his way into these squads. It's like, all right. I respect the
interesting mon in this matchup. He, in theory, forces in such a predictable Donphan hard switch every time that if you call that, you just double straight into Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt gets a KO because you can't sack Donphan. If you sack Donphan, you just lose to Regieleki. That's just how the game goes. So every time Crawdaunt hits the field in front of Donphan, more or less Hysterically is forced to sack something to reestablish.
I'm gonna go ahead and click it here. We did see that, and it was like a crucial KO too, because I think it crab hammered, and it took out the scissor. So
straight up, 100%. I think it was banded.
Yeah. And so once that went down, everything starts to open up, because then Kartana gets a lot scarier at that point. And even though Fini was the one who take the kills here, without the scissor, Roserade isn't gonna stand in front of it. I can take the Leaf Blades. I can't take Smart Strikes. Mandibuzz is your best bet at that point, but even Sacred Sword and Smart Strike, especially after a boost, can start breaking through Mandibuzz as well. You gotta be a little careful for foul plays if you go Sword Stance, but I'm talking about a mon that didn't just win the game. And this was also the game where Hysterically was doing pretty well, and then you just kind of let Donphan and Roserade die for no reason.
Yeah, my fan did go down prematurely, and then Regieleki didn't pop off, but it dictated the flow of the game after that, because I think it started volt switching on a couple of things, like the Roserade to weaken it down, and the Latios too.
Roserade needed to stay alive for the Fini, because once Rose went down, then
he just Moonblast freely, basically.
Yeah, or Rose got low enough. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of that. Not a big deal. You live and you learn
Done
on a
by
matchup
Shuriken,
like
though.
that. Yeah. Alright. Last and certainly not least, we have Hope's Peak Deoxys, coached by Josh, coming up against Big Balls Curator, coached by The Rock. Let's see what they brought. So here on Joshua's side, we have the Zarude, Rotom Heat, Slowbro, Kyurem, Mega Aggron, and Tornadus Therian.
Then on Rock's side, we got the Mega Diancie, the Dragonite, the Bronzong, the Spectrier, the Galarian Zapdos, and the Rotom Wash.
So, the Zarude has a pretty decent time here if you can keep the scale broken on Dragonite. I guess no. I say that and then I immediately remember the Gyapdos. Has a tough time with Gyapdos.
So what Zarude has in this matchup that's really nice, though, is it has such a... Dragonite's the mon that wants to switch in on Zarude pretty much every time it sees the field in front of Spectrier, Rotom, Bronzong, or Diancie. If it scarfs Zarude, all of those mons are forced to switch out. So Zarude can predictably U-turn into Kyurem quite a bit. And every time Kyurem hits the field, there's really not a lot of answers outside of Bronzong. So if you could start wearing down the Bronzong on those kind of U-turns into Kyurem, then start to pop off mid to late game and start claiming KOs and just dictating momentum.
Pretty easy to get rocks up here for Josh too. Like,
mm-hmm.
Even if it's already been megaed, Deontay's not usually switching in. Oh, excuse me. Deontay's not usually switching in front of a Mega Aggron. That's just suicide. Yeah. Like, which one of my attacks will kill you first? All of them.
Wouldn't it be a really bold predict?
I mean, never say never, but.
No, I would never. But
I think Josh is looking pretty good here. There's still the Spectre issue of Zarude has to stay healthy enough to check the spec.
Zarude or bust straight up with the Spectre.
Like, there may be some AV Torn. Nobody's running AV Torn anymore. Sorry, it's heavy duty boots or bust. I've said that Bronzong can be a little difficult to break as well. Like, that could be tough too. So like this is a pretty tough team for Josh to break. So if he doesn't break it initially before Zarude gets too low, spec should just clean up. But if not, you'll see something like the Kyurem pick up a fair amount of kills, if not Zarude. Take a look, and yeah, Rock's able to take this off the back of Gyapdos and Spectrier, and that's probably just it. Zarude gets too low, and then Spec's able to clean up. Gyapdos can just pivot in and out, and Rotom gets too low. Brave Bird starts taking hits, and you don't.
So as I recall,
feels a little bad too to switch into close combats all the time.
Recall this was a Spectrier, and what Rock was doing a really great job of in this match was he was just getting a Volt turn core with the Rotom Wash and the Zapdos going, because Rotom forces in either Kyurem or Zarude to answer that, and if a Volt switches on those every time, then he gets a free entry with Gyapdos, because Gyapdos beats both of those mons 1v1, and then so he can U-turn on those to bring in Spectrier, because they're forced to switch out into something like Slowbro or Torn, and then Spectrier just clicks Spec Shadow Ball, and then eventually Zarude gets out of range to be able to handle that, and the game just falls apart. So I think that momentum core of Aptos and Rotom Wash just helped dictate the flow for Rock so much, to the point that Spectrier, because the four kills with Spectrier weren't in succession. It was just repeatedly creating a situation where it gets a kill, gets a kill, forces in Zarude to try to force it out, and then eventually Zarude gets too weak to handle that.
Yeah, good point. So well done by the Rock, or just Rock.
A Rock, but I don't know if he's the Rock.
Alright, we're gonna hop into our featured match now. This is between Jordan and Spirit Union. So here on Jordan's side, we have Weavile, Hisuian Lilligant, Jirachi, Wikumuku, Ursaluna, and what I'm pretty sure is Mega Altaria. Yeah, it is.
That's correct.
It's Mega Altaria.
On Spirit side, we got the Mega Gallade, the Enamorus, the Landorus, the Arcanine, the Vaporeon, and the Greninja.
So right off the bat, Arcanine's on full elegant duty.
Yeah.
I mean, combined with the Lando, you just have to getting leaf bladed or close combated. As long as you can keep getting that correct, totally fine with the matchup.
Yep. Double intimidate really helps keep that
Yeah, it
in
should keep
control.
it in check, and maybe you luck out and it misses one of those moves, so you get a chance to heal up at least Arcanine.
Exactly.
But yeah, Mega Gallade's looking pretty good, except for the Larry.
Larry is the notable issue for it to push through. So if
Yeah.
it can deal with that, it just kind of claims KO.
There's actually isn't really anything here to deal with Larry, other than
no,
get
not
it
other than
statused up.
toxic.
Yeah, you get it statused up and hope for the best. So
Sucks
let's
at
get into this.
Namorous.
Yeah, Namorous will break through if it's got a little bit of chip. It probably can't switch in on Moonblast all that well.
No.
Because you're going to be running full physical for the Gallade. It's just such an easy switch in for Gallade. Okay, let's get into this. 3, 2, 1, go. So we see a Jirachi lead going up against Greninja. That's a pretty big deal. The Hydro, yeah, Hydro Pump missing there is a pretty big deal because you just get such valuable information of, like what your spread is, and then Sleep Powder
Blunder
missing.
policy.
Oh, I like the blunder policy. Maybe a little early for it. So, but you don't have any control over that.
No, and my issue with this set is that it's double intimidate, and so you end up activating the blunder policy far too early because you're just trying to go for something, and with the ability to just intimidate pivot like he is, it makes it really hard for that Lilligant set to pop. Yeah, Moonblast doing 40% screams.
Specs.
Yeah, that screams specs. That's giga damage. That's your best switch in on specs right there, eating 40%. So now it can't even switch in. You get to flip switch back into an Namorous, and you know you outspeed this Lilligant, so goodbye Lilligant.
Let's go. Yep.
Fentry
comes back in, and you just rinse and repeat.
Basically, I just keep that momentum going. Nukaruka's an interesting switch in here.
I don't think there's anything else. It was a U-turn, so you could have Ursalunaed, gotten burned, and you're still dealing with the same intimidate, the dual intimidate users though, so it's really hard.
Good predictive ice punch
here.
here.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You're not burned, so like that's really unfortunate. I don't know why you're not running a Flame Orb unless it's some super effective berry.
We've not been seeing a ton of Flame Orb use for the Ursalunas in this league, which has been a little surprising. You would have thought we would see that more.
I would be.
Yeah. And it just seems like an easy thing to run. Jirachi here doesn't really have answers for things. And that was its last safe switch in. We're going to go back into a Namorous here. A Namorous free KO again because something has to get sacked to the Moonblast to enable a safe switch in on the
Weavile in. So like this is your kind of last little hurrah, I feel like.
You just start getting to this spam again. You have to basically be Swords Dance Weavile to have a chance to get set up here.
And the Life Orb's fine, but it's just really hard.
Yeah.
Wild Charge. Sure, why not?
I respect it. It's not going to break Larry, but I respect it.
It's going to at least keep pressure on and maybe force a few recovers here and there.
Blitz.
Flare Blitz and does the exact same amount as Wild Charge. So the damage output's the same. He has more recovers than you have Morning Suns, so that isn't going to work.
So a good trapping play by Jordan. Spirit kind of let it happen, but now you just toxic stall or recover stall it. Pretty easy to do. If I am Spirit, I just click Wild Charges and fish for crits or something like that. You know, because
and then he recovers anyway.
Yeah, you just keep doing that because you're doomed. You're gonna have to sack it here.
Yeah, and should die next turn.
Get one more Wild Charge in there. Get a little extra chip on it.
So yeah,
if
your
I'm,
Namorous can just come in here and just click. Or that's fine too.
I think what he's going for here is trying to chip it down, but he doesn't do enough chip to break it far enough. So this Pikamuku is actually ending up walling more effectively than you'd think, because he doesn't seem to have a clear toxic spammer.
Yeah.
Enamorous comes in now. You have to be really wary that this doesn't
Mirror
have
Coat.
Mirror Coat as his last thing. It's not common for it to be Mirror Coat. And the Moonblast here basically means something gets forcibly sacked again, so this time it's going to be the Mega Altaria, but the Enamorous is getting another KO here. Grants Weavile access again. It should.
Should kill. Oof.
Turn. I remember...
Probably expecting Vaporeon to come in.
Realistically, and I think this is what Spirit said in the chat afterwards, he didn't need anything more from the Enamorous. He just needed to ensure that Pyukumuku didn't get a free rest.
Yeah.
Cover so that it gets out of range for close combat to KO, because it does so safely here.
Yeah, and at this point, the game's essentially done.
Yeah, you use Landorus to get an Intimidate on the Weavile to keep its
and now
damage
Blade
output
cleans
check.
it up.
G with flinch, and you're gonna KO here.
You need to. So that was a nice play to keep the Landorus alive. Just
You don't sack things if you don't need to.
Nope.
So good on him.
I think this was just not the week to bring that Lilligant set. Seemed to be
No.
the dead weight Mon once the blunder policy activated too early. Now maybe if
you
hit these moves the first, because he missed 2 moves in like 4 turns, so
that's what you get when you run hustle. You just miss a lot. I can see the tech in the play against a team with 2 intimidators is not the week for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the blunder policy idea on it. It seems like a neat little idea. I'm not sure.
Just have the right matchup.
But anywho, we're gonna pop over to standings now for Initiate, and let's see how things are looking for us. So we have 3 teams with 5 wins or more. After the forfeit loss, Gradual goes up to 6-1. Very likely at this point. I'm gonna say it, he's got playoffs locked up.
Yeah, I think it's a very safe assumption.
Jeg and Spirit Union are doing super well, and Iris was too until this was. I think this is Iris's 2nd loss with the Rain team, so Iris is still doing pretty well. The thing is, we still have 2 other 4 and 3 teams at 8 and 9, so it may come down to tiebreakers.
And those 5 and 2 teams are not those 5 and 2 teams could actually fall out of playoffs entirely with losses because their differential is not very strong.
Yeah, that's really wild to see. 7 and 4, and
when
then,
teams
the
have
next
good diff.
3 are 12, 12, and 11.
Yeah.
So at this point, though, because of the differentials, I think the 2-win teams, Zardes and Tox, may be out. Tox Zardes may still be in it.
Yeah, there's probably a scenario where they can make it. It's a very small scenario, but I would say definitively at this point, Tox and below are eliminated for consideration for playoffs.
Yeah. That's all right. You always get a chance to play spoiler, which is always a lot of fun.
As Geo got to do just recently in another league.
To do in EDC just recently. So sorry, Wombat. Much love. So let's take a look at the kill leaders here. We're looking at the top 10. Should probably be 13 because there's a few extra that are also
there.
8 KOs. But Garchomp at top, boring. Urshifu, boring. Hydreigon, a little more exciting. Nihilego,
he doesn't usually get there.
Pretty cool. Mega Deontay, boring. Mienshao, boring. Megalop, boring. Enamorous, I like to see it. It's a new mon. Or Uniclus, now that's pretty cool.
Although
it's come to more than one game.
It's
come to more than one game, so it's allowed. It's allowed to be on the list now.
So Reuniclus and Nihilego are on this board from 2 games each.
No.
They don't. They have 2 very big contributing games, putting them on the leaderboard, and that's good on them. A lot of these other ones are more, weekly threats, but those 2 have shined when they show.
Yeah. It's all good. But so that's our standings as we move forward. So good luck. We have 2 more weeks. Let's see if there's any further shakeups, especially in the middle where we're bound to see it. We're gonna head back over to our recaps here. All right, we're gonna move over to Disciple now. Very first match of the week. Take a look at the LA Nido Kings, coached by Black, going up against Seattle Sigilifts, coached by Dashing. Let's see what they brought. Here on the LA side, we have Suicune, Kartana, Mew, Rotom Heat, Mega Aerodactyl, and Hydreigon.
And then on Dashing side, we've got the Enamorus, the Aegislash, the Megachomp, the Tyranitar, the Keldeo, and the Victini. Rotom Heat has a lot of work to do in this matchup. It needs to be able to threaten out the Aegislash. It needs to be able to check the Enamorus, check the Mega Garchomp, check physical Victini. This Rotom Heat's on like overdrive to manage a lot of the offensive pressure.
Yeah, man. Suicune can at least help out with like Victini and some Aegislash sets, some T-Tar sets, like, but it's very likely to get toxic. So it's not impossible. Mew, there's a lot of ways you can go with it. Like even a D-Dance set looks pretty strong here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, actually, D-Dance kind of pops. Like, there's not a lot handling Ice Punch, close combat.
Like, you need some dark move.
Yeah. Something like that just kind of pops off a little bit.
Got that, but then it's on the other end too. Like, it's really hard to see a good switch in for Megachomp. Like, maybe your best switch in. Like, Rotom can't switch into a Stone Edge.
No, and so you're very vulnerable to the Swords Dance Scale Shot sweep here, just because there's no Fairy type. So you have to be super cautious of that to not get swept by the Chomp. And I don't recall how this one plays out actually.
It's a 1-0. It's a real close match. We didn't talk about the Kartana, but other than the Victini, nothing really stops the Kartana.
And Victini doesn't either.
Aegislash can, especially with King Shield, but if it not a sub, but you get a Swords Dance up, all of a sudden this knockoff is super threatening.
Yeah, there's no safe switch in on Kartana. You have to guess appropriately. Is it Leaf Blade? Is it Smart Strike? Is it knockoff? Because if you guess wrong, the piece you switch in is going to get destroyed.
Speed tier wise, like Kartana's
creeps Keldeo by 1, creeps Enamorus by 4, beats Victini. Actually, it's the fastest piece on the board. There's nothing on Dashing side that naturally outspeeds the Kartana.
There's even a chance it's not voice locked. It's a little scary. I want to say Megachomp started to do. No, it's a different league. But
yeah.
So really well done. All right, let's take a look at this next match coming up. The Adorable Audinos, coached by Frandy, going up against the Arkham City Delibirds, coached by A12.
This is our featured match.
Yeah, this is our featured match, so you can see the Mons, but we're just going to kind of move on. So, we have the Tentacruel Pirates next, coached by DJS, going up against the Moody Marshadows, coached by Blue. So on Tentacruel's side, we have Deoxys Defense, Burnape, Dragapult, Mega Blastoise, Ferrothorn, and Togekiss.
And then on Bloop's side, we've got the Tapu Fini, the Zoroark, the Zygarde, the Skarmory, the Mega Audino, and the Sneasler. So Sneasler pops here if it gets on the field in front of Togekiss or a Ferrothorn. It's really hard to deal with because Deoxys Defense can probably wall it out in terms of not getting to it KO, but it's going to most likely get stuck with status.
Yeah, you almost need to, like... Dragapult can take a few hits, though.
No, to avoid getting hit by status.
Yeah.
I mean, it can handle probably 2 poison jabs, but if it gets hit by the poison jab, it's like a 50% chance to be poisoned.
Yeah,
so
really
it's tough.
don't think this happens.
I don't think it
There's
comes into
stays
play
in
amazingly.
check.
Yeah.
I know it's able to like Blastoise takes a few hits from it.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, and looks like just Dragapult does Dragapult thing. I don't remember if it's mixed or if it was some type of setup where, but like Skarm's is what you would hope could be the switch in for Pulp, but like Pulp just gets through it with Fire Blast or Thunder.
Yeah.
You can do that, and then you can still run D-Dance. It'll just
Basically, Mega Audino is the one solid enough answer to Dragapult, but you have to Mega early to do that. Actually, there's Tapu Fini, but yeah, I mean, never mind. If it has Thunderbolt and it's like a Specs, it pops off. So really, Audino is the only strong answer, and you need to probably Mega with Audino early, especially if it's physical Dragapult. So this is a tough spot to be in, where
and
Dragapult has the coverage.
You Mega too early with Audino, like your tank ability goes way down.
Oh yeah.
So well done by DJS to secure the win. Alright, let's see. Up next, we have the Chelsea Chestnuts, coached by Waka, going up against the Phoenix Solgaleos, coached by Didi. So let's see what they brought. We have the Urshifu Single Strike, Heatran, Mega Diancie, Rotom Wash, Slowking Galar, and Audino.
And then on Didi, yep. And then on Didi's side, we've got the Thundurus, the Melmetal. I believe that's Mega Lopunny. The
Yeah, I think
Decidueye,
it's
the
Mega
Kyurem, and the Clefable. So
this
interesting.
Looks like a great food. Like Clefable's your only real stop to the 120 base power move spam.
People can cause some issues with Urshifu popping off, but like it's not a strong answer. It can get out of hand quite quickly. Exactly.
Like, but the U-turn, like Clefable, if thinking the U-turn going into Heatran is pretty scary, or even like Slowking, pretty scary.
Yeah, Glowking doesn't really offer a lot of switch-ins. Melmetal can, but if it gets caught on the flamethrower on a switch-in, it's pretty destroyed.
Yeah, this is a great matchup here. Like if you're Scarf Eruption on Heatran, have it in front of the Clefable and it's got to switch out. Whew.
Right, because Kyurem's going to get 2-hit KO'd probably, and then everything else might just get 1-hit KO'd more or less.
So, like looking at this matchup, it's kind of all on the low pony. If return spam can get through Glowking.
Looking for, or at least a pivot into Decidueye. Decidueye Melmetal. Although Melmetal still has to contend with Rotom, who is a really, really strong switch-in.
Yeah, I think when my Melmetal played against Rotom Wash, it's like you're running Toxic that week.
Yeah, you have to.
You're never breaking through. But Didi's able to carry the win. I'm guessing this is some variant of setup Clef.
I believe it was Cosmic Power in the one Melmetal KO. Actually, I think Clefable managed to push through the Heatran as well. I believe this is a setup Clefable that got the Heatran worn enough down where Cosmic Power might have been able to push through it.
Okay, so you just get... I mean, that's the other thing. If it's not like a trick Rotom, then Clef can kind of do whatever it wants. So I dig it. It's actually really nice. So very cool. Good job.
Big win for Didi to kind of get the season back on track.
Alright. Coming up next, we have the Dallas High Horsepower, coached by Shark, going up against the Columbus Chandeleurs, coached by JJ No. See what mons they brought. Here on Shark's side, we have the Ursaluna, Sylveon, Raikou, Cinderace, Celesteela, and Latias.
On HJJ's side, we've got the Coco, the Silvally, the Kingdra, the Mandibuzz, the Megamedi, and the Blissey.
So, this is like kind of neat. It's like Ursaluna can get in front of the Coco, and as long as Coco's not U-turning, that's gonna take some big damage. Like Mandibuzz is maybe your best bet. But if it's an actual Flame Orb, and I think Ice
So
Punch may be able to get through it.
if I'm Shark, what I do on turn 1 here is I just lead Raikou, knowing that it's going to force in Coco or Blissey and just Volt Switch into
Or
Ursaluna.
Silvally Ground, and you just
Yeah, you kind of scout that out at least so you know, but if it's not Silvally Ground, then you just Volt Switch into Ursaluna. Ursaluna just clicks a button that does lots of damage. Probably Ice Punch, maybe Double Edge, and you just try to get major damage in
done.
immediately.
Let's see. HJJ's able to take this just barely. Like, it was a really close match. Ursaluna
I
just
don't believe it might have been like just low. Yeah, actually, it came down to last turn, only like 20% health left from the Metacham.
yeah. Ursaluna just didn't have quite enough, but you know, it's got 2 KOs. Laddie was able to get 2 KOs. So like the game plan was there, it just, you know, petered out a little bit towards the end.
Yeah, there wasn't really an answer to Mega Metacham, so every time Mega Metacham hit the field in front of Ursaluna or Celesteela, it just...
You gotta make sure. I want to. No, was Shark Hyper Voice this week?
On the Sylveon, I believe it was.
It probably doesn't. Because it can't really switch in Psycho or Zen Headbutt. It's a Sylve anyway.
Exactly.
No safe switch ins, so what are you gonna do? So well done to Jay, keeping his season semi-alive. Maybe his first win. Second
In fact, his first win. No, it's his first win. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
But him for getting a win on the season and making sure the team got a win. Obviously, it wasn't the ideal circumstances by which he inherited a team because it was 0-3 at the time. Not with Mons. I don't think he wanted, but kudos to him on finding a winning formula for this matchup.
Yeah. So for our next matchup, we have the Waikato Chestnuts, coached by Liger, going up against the St. Louis Shroomish, coached by the Helix Fossils. By the Helix Fossil. I don't know why I'm putting plural into everything. But on Waikato's side, we have Landorus, Zelf, Mega Scissor, Komodo, Primarina, and Bronzong.
Then on Helix's side, we've got a Tornadus Therian, a Rotom Mo, a Buzzwole, a Mega Gallade, a Nidoking, and then Hisuian Goodra.
So
Goodra's trouble in this matchup because there's not a great switch in. You know, Primarina gets forced out. Bronzong probably doesn't want to be wanted. Azelf has nothing for it. Scizor has to run away because of Flamethrower. So
like, you can get the predicts right, like you can play around it, but that's going to be hard to do over 4, 5, 6 predicts. You got to get right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1-0 for St. Louis, and this match really came down to the wire. This is a match where we saw Mega Scissor take down Buzzwole with a dual wing beat.
Oh, that's right.
So that was pretty cool. It was just hard to get anything going against the Hisuian Goodra, and eventually kind of came down to Tornadus just having enough to get through the last couple of Mons. And like, your only priority here is the Mega Scissor, and like, you're not getting close to 50%. You gotta tank Torn.
No, and Torn has a pretty free matchup to spam Hurricane. There wasn't really a good answer to that, especially if you have Heat Wave for the Bronzong. So
yeah.
Yep.
All right. Last and certainly not least, we have Tennessee type Nulls, coached by Zeke, going up against the Sacramento Kingdras, coached by Orn Latios. Let's see what mons they brought. Here on Tennessee's side, we have the Zeraora, Florges, Hisuian Zoroark, Melodic, Andorus and Mega Absol.
And Orange side, we've got the Alolan Muck, the Necrozma, the Mega Altaria, the Corviknight, the Tangrowth, and the Garchomp.
Alright, let's see. What do we got?
Muck does quite a bit in this matchup. There's not really a good answer to Muck, and then 3 Mons get pressured pretty hard. You know, Hisuian Zoroark has to run away. Floor just doesn't really have a safe opportunity to stay in.
You say that, but if Melodic already is burned, and it is a defensive, but like I think there's a lot of pressure to run some sort of mixed Melodic. Or maybe you can get away with it. No, because Florges can always handle special Mega Altaria. If you gotta be a little worried about Dance Mega Altaria here. In which
That's
case,
the real threat.
In which case, like a full defensive Exotic can handle it. As long as you don't get poisoned in your Flame Orb rocks.
Yeah.
Altaria is gonna look and feel pretty good. So having said that, there's still you still have Necrozma issues this game. You don't your Dark type's Mega Absol, which is not great. One Automize and you're already starting to threaten the entire game.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're switching to Meteor Beam. Oh, cool. Photon Geyser's gonna follow it up. You know, it's really tough. So and then you got the Garchomp too for just general pressure. I think it's really tough for Zeke. He's gotta make some plays with Zoroark early to kind of get up advantage, like a 6v4.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah, if we take a look here, it's a real spread the love type of deal, but Garchomp getting a few kills, Necrozma, Alola even. I wonder if that's residuals or not.
Might have just pursued trapped his Zoroark or something like that, or a Florges created a situation where there wasn't a safe switch out. Alola has a pretty easy time picking up 1 KO in this matchup. Whether or not it takes off is, a different story, but a lot of ways where it picks up 1 safe KO.
True. So well done by Orn Latios.
Continues to get KOs with that tank growth. I am impressed. Yeah,
he doesn't run it. He called us out. He's only run it offensive so far. So.
No, but he keeps finding ways to get it. I mean, it's a more passive mon that's not always a KOer. So he's been able to get constant KOs with that mon, and adds another one to the tally this week.
Yeah. I would say Tangrowth is in that category of mons I love and know you hate and draft.
Yep.
What are you gonna do? All right, let's pop over to our featured match for the week. This is between Frandy and A12. Gotta have the mascot match, it seems. Larry's in all 3 of our matches, actually.
Oh, was he really?
Oh, as if that wasn't planned. You know.
I straight wish I planned that. I am thoroughly shocked that is what's happening, but you were 100% right. So I guess spoilers to K-Gang. We'll be back for the match soon.
It's already giving me ideas for what the thumbnail's. So alright, let's take a look here on Frandy's side. We have the Mega Mawile, Zapdos, Chandelure, Slowbro, Lycanroc Dusk, and Dragalge.
And then on A12's side, we got the Pincurchin, Gary, as we like to call him, the Diggersby, the Gliscor, the Crobat, our good boy Larry, and a Slowking.
Yeah, so alright, we're gonna hop right into this match. 3, 2, go. Because this is a weird matchup. We got the Urchin stuff. So
Diggersby's pretty good pressure here.
Yeah, ooh, that looks like.
It did. Calls an obvious Zapdos hard switch because that's all Frandy has to switch down Earthquakes. Substitute Zapdos is pretty spectacular.
Yeah. We'll put some good pressure on the Gliscor, and without Facade, you're not breaking the sub.
That Slowking though.
That's a fat slow. That's a pretty good miss on the hurt. Oh, and then there's a bit of a confusion proc there.
We'll take that RNG. Opens it up for Zapdos to get an extra KO here. Diggersby does put some pressure here, but the Zapdos running scouting moves with that is pretty helpful because Diggersby is obviously banded based off that early EQ damage.
He's playing around this band real well.
So first of all, Gary went first, by the way. on this Mega Mawile. So it's a speedy Pincurchin, which is super funny. And I think it specs
Oh
for the
man.
Giga damage. And then crit. So really funny little Pincurchin play
I'm
right
wondering
there.
if the crit mattered if it was specs. Maybe not.
It probably still did, just because Pincurchin's not like a huge damage dealer. I'll have to check the calcs on that.
Yeah. But like at this point now, it's just.
I mean, that's the primary offensive piece for Frandy, and it's just gone. And this Slowking's pressuring the Zapdos into
Ah, he gets the
force the
para.
heal.
There we go.
A huge para turn, because now the Zapdos gets to sub freely like that. And the Zapdos gets to the Roost Cycle. Basically,
good crit. You're looking for
it's
fishing for a burn here.
it opens up the gameplay if you're able to get that burn, because then Zapdos can't do as much passive play as it wants to do. But you get the other proc there.
Diggersby. Slowking.
You can start to play with the Zapdos PP a little bit, because the Hurricane spam has to be kept within check.
Yeah.
Diggersby
Yeah,
is
just a turn. Why not? Nothing. Oh wait, because your choice band. Look at this, another double.
Yeah.
It's just.
yeah, he's been doing some
Cool.
smart doubles here. Chandler gets a good trick in to scarf a paralyzed Slowking, which is pretty ideal, not gonna lie.
I think that brings
helpful.
it up to just
7 speed,
Melmetal,
something like that.
uninvested Melmetal speed ring.
Yeah.
um,
Diggersby gets in here. Interesting quick attack choice.
Bring the Chandelier back. 3.
Yeah. There
Maybe
it
but
is.
because it's quick attack, you just don't care too much. He's like A12's hanging on real well here.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of needed doubles. Really good predict with the Earthquake. Pincurchin comes in because Pincurchin's about to come in on a Zapdos, I believe.
Yeah, so now they got a good chance to just click Rising Voltage or Thunderbolt. That's fine. I don't know why you wouldn't just click the Rising Voltage though.
I think he was anticipating the Zapdos stalling through the electric terrain turns, and so he was just defaulting to Thunderbolt to manage that. But he's doing, good continued damage on this Dragalge. I think he's going to call a Draco Meteor here. Get it with Slowking.
It's a good time if you got teleport.
He doesn't, because he was an AV that got tricked off of it. So it's looking, yeah.
It's okay. That's okay. I still dig the AV set. Like it more or less puts pressure on the Gyaptos. All right, there you go. Now that's some real pressure. Yeah. Ah, and then the Stone Edge finally misses.
Yeah.
No burn.
Critical.
He gets the burn.
Very needed burn. Very needed. Stone Edge misses at RNG. Diggersby gets sacked. But it's back to Gary business, and there is no Gary switch in. Safely gets the 2% damage. I think you just Rising Voltage again here.
Yeah. And then you die to the Draco. What are you going to do at this point?
A lot of things.
You still have the Zapdos. You have Cross Poison? No.
I think
it does take it out. Very fortuitous, but you're not taking out the Lycanroc.
Oh, Larry you are.
Yeah, Larry you
Larry
are.
goes away. You kind of need to be Mirror Coat there on the Larry, because you don't really have an answer to Shadow Ball from Chandelure.
Right.
Slowking is out of range of Shadow Ball KOing, so going for the Scald here is pretty huge.
It has an Assault Vest, though.
So
the problem.
It's in range for Toxic to now KO after any chip. And gets a surprising Citrus Berry. I don't think I've ever seen Citrus Berry used on Larry before. I've never run it on it. But it's super critical here because it gets him out of Stone Edge range, so he can just recover spam.
Yeah.
And then keep it out of range. It's no worries. He can get another one in, and then I believe he's going to counter on this turn to secure.
Oh, he did have counter. For whatever reason, I thought we saw all 4 moves. So yeah, really well done. Really well done.
Our Lord and Savior, was able to get a nice win for A12.
Two
Bailed him out.
KOs, 2 KOs, no deaths.
That's a regular game in my opinion for Larry, but others may disagree. So well
So,
done to
yeah,
A12.
that
Close game
was
by
right
Frandy.
down to the wire. So let's pop over to these standings, especially
Yeah.
after watching that hype. Um, so still at top is the LA Needle Kings. They've only taken that one loss, and their diff is enormous. Still at the top here, Arkham City Delibirds and Adorable Audino's still clawing at that top spot. They just need Black to drop another game. But these are like your top three pretty solidly right now, and they're probably playing the best overall out of everyone in the
Absolutely.
div. We have a ton of 4 and 3 teams here, like all the way down to 9. And
It's just the exact same as Initiate. I would say everyone but the bottom 3 teams are fully alive in the playoff race. Obviously, TD and Helix need to win out, but with
they're
how
still
close
in
the
it, and the
how close
diffs
the
aren't
diff
bad.
is, yeah.
So, fortunately, are they the 1 and 6 teams? It's impossible at this point.
Yeah.
There's no way. The best you can
Playoffs.
do is tie with like DD and Helix, who are very likely to have better diff than you at this point. It's the most you can
Yeah,
make
so
up
more than
is
anything,
12.
so you're more than anything, you're trying to see if you can get yourself out of relegation position and
Right.
move up a spot or two to just to secure yourself for next season for Initiate. I'm sorry, Disciple. So, if nothing else, that's obviously worth playing for. So we'll see what they're able to bring in these last couple of matches.
Yeah. All right, so taking a look at these kill leaders, though, we got one fun thing in the Mega Scissor, but that's only in the top 5. If we look at the bottom 5, then we get more fun. Chandelier.
There's Hisui and Zorak. I think that's worth noting.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I take it all back. Hisui and Zoark is the coolest. Big fan. Love to see it.
Fan.
I really kind of hope that Zeke's able to take it and unanimously take over this top spot.
Yeah, he's just losing on deaths right now. That's the only reason he's on the top spot. Is deaths
almost
total.
there. We got a few other 9 KO Mons chilling here between the Diggersby and the Nidoking, but their deaths are too high, so they're kind of off. Well, Diggersby isn't, so it just had the unfortunate of being drafted later than for Shifu.
Yeah.
That's how it's a don't worry about how it's organized. Everything makes sense. Promise.
The logic is all there.
Alright, so we're gonna pop back to our recaps now. Look over
Get to the worst division.
Master Div. Ooh, Larry Div. So right off the bat is our featured matchup between K-King and Fact Luigi, and I'm gonna do the Pokemon spoilers because look, Wikamuku, yay!
Truly, I had no reference that. I mean,
Oh.
I was aware because I watched the matches, but I swear there was zero intention. So this is entirely by accident that we are getting blessed with 3 Larry games. You are all welcome.
Oh, I love it so much. Alright, let's take a look at this next matchup. We have the Slippery Superiors going up against the Alberta Surge, coached by Hoiku. And let's take a look at the mons that they brought. Here on GDP's side, we have Glow King, Zoroark Hisuian, Luxray, Mega Blastoise, Doug Trio, and Clefable.
Then on Hiku's side, we've got the Coco, the Audino, the Nidoking, the Rotom Wash, the Galarian Zapdos, and the Talonflame. So obviously Hiku needs to be a little cautious of arena trapping from the Doug Trio so he doesn't accidentally lose his Nidoking or his Coco on a revenge kill. But other than that,
it's
a pretty good matchup for him. Galarian
Yeah.
Zapdos kind of does what it wants.
and even then, Nidoking can get a sub up like on
That's
the
huge.
Switch. Yeah, it's so tough.
You
And
sub
there's
if
always,
you
like,
sub.
Yeah,
Right,
even Talonflame, like you're what are you really afraid of? You're like you give it in and out, like you're gonna stop Luxray. I don't know. I think this is a really tough matchup for G.
Yeah.
And
Nidoking dominates. So I think what you're right came down to was a good sub by the Nidoking, ensuring that Doug Trio couldn't revenge kill.
Nothing
It,
switches into like a subbed up Nidoking here. Like Sludge
no,
Wave, only
there's a
Dugtrio
couple of switch.
resists. But like,
Yep. Oh,
yeah, you can't
Igloo
switch your
Slowking.
Dugtrio into a subbed up Nidoking. You're gonna lose your Dugtrio.
Yeah. The Blastoise temporarily gets like maybe one or two switch-ins just because of bulk, but after a certain amount of chip, if you sub in front of Clefable or Luxray again, then Nidoking just pretty much starts claiming KOs.
Yeah, and I think this was a very offensive Blastoise, so even then it was only limited to like one or two switch-ins. I think it took like 45% right off the bat from the Sludge Wave. That just, that like double hard. Like, so good job, Boiku. And I mean, he's still playing, and he took over probably a not great team. But one interesting thing that he did do is he's got the Urshifu single strike, and he didn't bring it. So,
Oh wow. Showcase other mons, try things out. I mean, Urshifu's obviously a good Pokemon. You don't need practice runs with that.
So just trying things out, I'm sure. All right, next is our match. Played about like an hour ago, 2 hours ago, something like that. Right before we started this. So it's the Potam Puikamukus going up against the Columbus Gallade. McGee, you want to introduce your team?
Yeah. So I got a Landorus Incarnate, a Como-O, a Mega Mawile, a Roserade, a Slowbro, and then a Cinderace. And what did you bring?
I have a Mega Gallade, Melodic, Gliscor, Rotom Heat, Rabombi, and a Shaman. So right off the bat, things were real fun. I brought a Sash Rabombi, and I was able to get the Stun Spore off on the Cinderace.
Pretty critical play.
Yeah, it was nice. Unfortunately, the game continued on. Komodo didn't get a chance to do anything. Got toxic right before a belly drum, so that was kind of funny.
So literally that was a huge play there because Como died by exact percent. If Como had 1% more health, then Geo's forced to sack at least one more Pokemon. But the Como got hit by a really timely toxic because he ran full speed Rotom Heat just so that I couldn't sub safely on it and get away from status or anything like that. So really big play because I thought I had a free switch in after Rotom Heat.
I think the thing too is you EV'd to have odd. The Blackberry could proc. Shouldn't do that. If you had that one more HP, you live, dude.
Oh, because your Rotom Heat was seeded from the Roserade.
Oh yeah,
I got seed health back. That's all it was. But I died by 1%, so it was super unfortunate that you went so speedy. Because if you hadn't gotten so speedy, I would have gotten enough HP.
Yeah, but, no, that's really funny. But anyway, the match continues.
That wasn't where the real RNG was.
Things, kind of get traded back and forth. Roserade goes down to Rotom Heat after it gets some spikes up. Eventually, Landorus subs up. I don't remember on what. I think Gliscor.
Either that or Rotom Heat. Both were kind of fodder for it.
Yeah, no, it was Rotom Heat because I went for another Toxic and then he subbed up.
Yeah, that's right.
And so Rotom Heat dies. Mega Gallade comes in and it misses. Triple Axle. All 3 hits, by the way.
Doesn't even hit once. Yeah, I mean, it just needs one hit to break the sub, and it misses all 3.
That's probably a good time to introduce this. What happened? Yeah, that's really kind of the story of the game. Because once it missed, didn't have ways to get it back in safely or ways to kill the Slowbro. I think in post we talked about there was a chance that like Shaman spamming Seed Flare could have done it, but. Nah, it's neither here nor there. Sometimes, when you're in tilt, you don't see things like that, and it's still dependent upon the defense drop. Because Cinderace was at like 80, 90-some percent. It took one U-turn from a timid Rabomb, so it did like negative damage.
I think there was we talked about it too. I think the Melodic probably could have done more, just because it got a burn on Mawile, which was big, but then I think it could have recovered stalled a little more.
No, actually, the with the turn orders, you Swords Dance on the Scald, so there's really no way to live like where the HP was. So melodic was always going to be at their 40%, so it doesn't wall Landorus anymore. Or
Okay, that's fair then.
yeah, no. That just is what it is. Like maybe I could have kept it alive, but it was gonna with the spikes up. Like, yeah.
I mean, the reality is, if Triple Axel hits in this game, Geo wins it because Slowbro was toxic.
Up. Yeah, Shaman cleans up. Like if Gallade can't.
So it came down to that play. It's a summation, I think, of Geo's season where there's a couple of critical turns he needs to go his way, and they just don't.
I mean, it's when you're playing with RNG. Eventually, it comes up not in your favor. It's whatever. All right, coming up next, we have the Thunderers from Down Under, coached by Sparky, against Claude 9's Republic City Firefirts. Let's take a look at what they brought here. Here on Sparky's side, we have the Rillaboom, Primarina, Victini, Corviknight, Zoroark, and Sneasler.
Claude's side, we've got the Spectrier, the Arcanine, Hisui, the Garchomp, the Tapu Fini, the Mega Scizor, and the Weezing.
I kind of really like this Hisui and Arcanine to like stop Vic.
That doesn't have great.
Cool.
It's really cool. Weezing does a double duty here of shutting down Sneasler hard.
Yeah, Sneasler can't do anything.
For this, but... and then it's also got Rillaboom, and there's plenty of paint split opportunities here. So Weezing is actually quite effective in this matchup.
Yeah, and you gotta. Zoroark is not your. There's Spectre is looking like it can be revenged, but it's also mighty scary. So there's a lot of differing play here. If you mess up once and you get Zoroarked, well,
that's where it matters. Yeah,
kind of done. Spec's able to get 3 kills, but Rillaboom does as well.
A critical thing happened early where I believe Victini bolt strikes and statuses the Hisui and Arcanine, and then a Paraturn or two comes up,
and you don't
which is impactful.
Recovery, yeah.
Yeah, so Hisui and Arcanine ended up going down a little bit to RNG, and that may have made the difference because I believe towards the end this turned into a trade-off battle where it's like I sack something so I can bring in Spectrier to click Shadow Ball, and then you come in with Rillaboom to revenge, so I have to put something to the side.
It may be the critical bit here for this match, but also it may extend it for 20 extra turns. It goes the same way, but it definitely is crucial for this match.
Yeah.
Well done, Sparky, able to keep it alive. Alright, next we have Living Like Larry coached by Phil, going up against the West Virginia Wingles, coached by Fancify. Who they brought here on Phil's side, we have the Seismitoad, Celesteela, Decidueye, Hisuian, Zygarde, Aerodactyl, and he brought the Sneasel!
Finally!
The Sneasel, yay!
He wanted Sneasler super badly, he didn't get it, so he took Sneasel round 1 instead, but he hasn't really been bringing it as much as I thought he would, just because he was so excited to use that Pokemon. But it's here for this game.
Yeah.
And then on Fancify's side, we've got a really strong rain group going of the Mega Swampert, the Amistar, the Klefki, the Pelipper, the Mew, and the Amoonguss.
It's a fat team, man.
Yeah, it's hard to push through what he's got, Hisui and Sneasel doesn't really have any answers for the Amoonguss. There's no real breaking power to get through an Amoonguss quick enough. And even if it had something, it still has to deal with the Klefki, so there's no real options there. Pelipper's tough for the Zygarde to push through. Swampert's a lot of pressure if you're not Water Absorb Seismitoad.
This is Mew's not good. So let's take a look, and Mew takes 3 KOs here, and it was a real interesting Mew set. Did you see it?
No, I don't remember what the Mew set was. What was going on with it?
Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Roost,
okay,
Body Press.
So just getting super fat on either side.
Yeah.
Did they get like Amnesia or something? I was surprised it went for Calm Mind then.
I think the Calm Mind was, so you can still get the Spadef, but I want to say there was some calc or something where just getting the +2 from Iron Defense mattered way more right off the bat. That made it like unkillable.
Oh, absolutely. I just thought Mew also gets Amnesia, which is like +2 for Spadef.
Yeah,
Like,
it probably does, but
I don't know.
maybe it
Either
doesn't
way,
get
it works
body
out fine.
press then. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
fair enough. Either way,
yeah.
the Mew does good work, and body press is quite good here because there's not really a lot of plays on that other than like Toxic.
Right. So, really, just well done.
What up,
Fancify
Fancify?
came in, made
He's been
another
having some
repeat
really
team.
rough RNG. I remember he lost to FAC because of a missed Thunderwave from the Clef Key, so I know he's been having some unfortunate plays with RNG this season, but good on him for getting a nice win here.
Right. Um. Okay. Coming up next, we have Tick and Pulse, coached by Frosteye, going up against the Canberra Charizard, coached by CNC. Let's take a look at what they brought. Here on Frosteye's side, we have the D-Axis Speed, Valley, Florges, Obstagoon, Garchomp, and Salazzle.
Then on Sammy C's side, we've got the Megalopony, the Dhelmise, the Zapdos, the Nidoqueen, the Greninja, and the Necrozma.
So, yeah, right off the bat for this, you had Dhelmise just being an absolute champ.
Oh, that's right. There's like an
Dhelmise,
early Poltergeist, right?
early Poltergeist to take down like the Axis Speed, and
Then a Colbur Berry for the body press on the Obstagoon.
Yep.
Yeah. Very quick to kill you. And then Dhelmise has more than done its work in that matchup and is happy to die.
Oh yeah, like if it's got enough HP that maybe you get a little more on the chomp, but it was a mixed chomp anyway, because I'm pretty sure Fire Blast came and just murdered it.
Yeah.
But at that point though, like nothing's really standing up to Lop. Like Fairy Silvally can kind of do a little bit, or Poison like Salazzle's
Maybe,
not.
but
You still got to deal with.
You're still spamming return.
So,
Yeah.
like it's just too tough. Lop's able to take 3 more KOs. So well done, Sammy. Frosteye just lost too much too early, and it was just like no, have come back from that.
Yeah, tough matchup.
So up next, last certainly not least, is South Bend Snoms, coached by Wombat, going up against Flight Club, coached by Cats.
Light.
So, yeah, that's why I said Flight. Club.
I like the name. I just wanted to say it
too.
again.
So Jirachi, here on Wombat's side we have Jirachi, Altaria, Tornadus Therian. Is it Mega Altaria?
Yes.
Toxtricity, Eldio, and Ursaluna.
And then on Cat's side, we got the Aegislash, the Moltres, a fun appearance from the Illumise, a Raikou, a Mienshao, and a Hydreigon.
So
I know.
This is a matchup where each side's got a little bit to play with here. Kind of what happens though is Illumise, it's got that prank. It's a nice Thunder Wave in on the Jirachi. Helps the Raikou eventually be able to sub Calm Mind, and it's just running 2 moves, Thunderbolt and Scald.
Yeah, that's all it really needs.
Yeah, like Toxtricity comes in on it, and Boom Burst just isn't quite enough breakthrough like with the. So what we see is a 6-0 for Raikou. Enough. There was maybe one little chance left at the end where there was a nice little 50-50 between, because Raikou stayed at pretty low health the rest of the match. There's a nice little 50-50 where like what mono am I going into? Like, do I go into the Keldeo or the Ursaluna? And if it was going to be a Thunderbolt, then Ursaluna tanks it and gets the revenge. I may be misremembering it because like even at like +2, the Scald didn't KO Ursaluna, so it would have lived the Scald.
Yeah.
So well done. We're gonna move on into our featured match, and this match here is between Fact Luigi and K King. Go ahead and introduce Fact's team. He has the Dragapult, the Mesprit, the Drapion, Landorus Therian, Sylveon, and Blastoise.
Then on K-King's side, we've got our good friend Larry, an Incineroar, a Togekiss, an Urshifu, a Zeraora, and a Latios.
So we're just gonna hop in and go Larry, I guess, right? Obviously. All right, three,
Obviously.
2, 1, go. So lead Mesprit, lead Latios.
Mespert's a pretty good lead for Latios too, just because Mespert's got some pretty solid bulk, especially if you're running it as a Spadef user.
3 rocks, and now you scout the Zera is Boots.
Good Moonblast tech by fact, just in case Zera ends up being a throat chop set to shut down Hyper Voice, but that's not what shows up.
Yeah, it's a nice toxic Zeraora. I dig it. There's a lot of bulk on Fax teams, so toxic's just gonna get you good value. So you are fast. Mesprit is faster than Togekiss, which is good to know. I don't know what kind of bulk they're running. And the Dazzling Gleam slaps.
That is a strong hit in Dazzling Gleam.
Poison Jab. Poison Jab instead of just a knockoff.
Oh, there it is.
The knockoff. So three boots so far on K-King's side.
Yeah. When in doubt, run lots of boots. So your Urshifu Rapid Strike is tough to deal with. Not really a lot of switch-ins here, but the Rocky Helmet Mesprit is actually quite nice, and I believe it's going to survive by 1%.
So you're going to take another 17 if you want it, but that's fine. The Blastoise is happy to tank the hit.
As weird as it is, you see if you can maybe get a wish onto the Mesprit, or at least force another contact move later.
There's no reason to just let it die. Yeah, because you got this. You can flip turn super safely.
Larry lets in Drapion. Drapion, I believe, is going to go for a Toxic Spike or a knockoff here. Yeah, here's a Toxic Spike.
Yeah, it's a good Toxic Spike.
Mesprit, perfect time to get rid of Mesprit, because then you control momentum, don't allow Togekiss to get that free entry to do that hazard setting.
It can defog if it wants here. It's super tanky, but it's
but that
cost
poison's critical, because now Drapion can just click Toxic Spikes repeatedly until Togekiss dies.
Yeah, so it's even if it didn't die there, you still click it in you roost, you keep that cycle going until you get the poison.
The flip turn, generate momentum, make sure Drapion's back on the field so that the Togekiss can't re-enter the field, so that Urshifu here is forced to get poisoned. So really good field control by Fact, just to not allow any hazard removal.
Yep, and you've got HP on Dragapult. Use it to soak up these Surging Strikes. And now the Incineroar is poisoned as well, but it's already pretty weak, so yeah, especially with the poison damage, you can't stop the Shadow Ball.
I believe that's going to force in Zeraora here. Off helps get this Sylveon a little bit in check. I believe it opens up a Plasma Fist opportunity here.
We saw we haven't seen anything really, but so it's a good Moonblast.
Urshifu's going to come in, get some Rapid Strikes going, claim another KO.
And now it gets one more turn to do something. So it's a good time to U-turn. Yeah. So
yeah, Scarflandrous does Scarflandrous things.
And Drapion is just feeling pretty good. But there's still this Laddie in the back. Is a bit scary.
The Blastoise, just to not get accidentally knocked off on the Landorus, because Scarflandrous ensures that Adios isn't trouble.
Yeah. So you're at a place where Drapion needs to stay alive for the Larry. Yeah, so there's the
That's good. Shuts down any sort of momentum.
Free knockoff. Or he goes for the double.
Interesting.
I think maybe expecting Laddie coming in. No, Laddie's never coming in. Or he was worried about the counter.
That play.
So now you can Shadow Ball. It's in Shadow Ball range, so now Shadow Ball is free.
Versus Zeraora, and Zeraora can only really click. Oh wait, this might be Scarf actually.
Yeah, it's Scarf. If you're bringing it in like this, it's Scarf. So at this point, yeah, you just need to keep that alive, and yeah, you can't let it go down because doesn't matter what he clicked here if it was knockoff, because you can just U-turn.
Yeah.
Because the Scarflaty isn't going to KO a Drapion from this range.
Basically needing a freeze here. That's your only exit.
Well,
he doesn't get that.
It could KO. Yeah, freeze.
I
It
didn't
could
think
KO, but then it doesn't kill the Landro in the back.
Well, I mean, it could because it was revealed to be Scarf, so if it would have outspread the Lando. But that's all Latios really had to play with on that last turn was freezing the Drapion so that it could KO the Drapion because knockoff was obviously going to.
I think I haven't talked to Fac on this. I think there was a lot of posturing at the end, but when it was 3-on-3, under the assumption from him that it was a Scarflaty, so he just needed to make sure the Larry was down, such then that keeps HP on the Drapion just for situations, such that he can tank a hit and just get the free knockoff off. Because either
KOs or he gets rid of the Scarf. Yeah.
Or it's always going to KO. It's a Latios. But even the Zero Aura, if it wants to switch in, like Zero Aura can't solo Scarf, Lando.
Can't Scarf. It can't solo any kind of Lando. It's got no answers for Landers, especially after an Intimidate.
The bulky Landos are probably harder to deal with.
Yeah. So good win by Fac. Eerily good comeback by K King, but overall great match.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a look at our standings here. We have 3 teams at 6-1. This league's not like the other two.
Yeah, this is a very different division standing than the other ones.
So we have 3 6-1 teams. We have 2 5-2 teams, and these 5 teams are soaking up all the wins.
Yeah,
we only have one more team with a we have a 3 and 4. We have a 3 and 4 team that would go to playoffs if playoffs started tomorrow. With your win, you also pull it up to 3 and 4, but and we have got 5 teams at 2 and 5. It's just wild, man.
Yeah. So it's very possible. I mean, it's not. Wombat's differential is atrocious for someone that's got a winning record. But if Claude, myself, and Wombat win next week, then the match between me and Claude in week 9 will determine the final playoff spot. So that is, notable.
Oh, I hope Wombat wins this week because.
Actually, Wombat probably needs to win out in order to safely secure playoffs because his differential is bad enough that any loss would probably mess him up.
Wombat versus Geo in a week 9 when Geo has nothing to win for, and Wombat needs to win to get into playoffs. Oh no, it's happening again.
Oh my god. I cannot believe it.
Oh no. If it happens again.
I cannot believe that you could. I mean, if I lose this week, he's probably safe. He's actually safe with a win. But if I win this week, he's gonna need to win out.
Oh man, you hate to see it. You really do. I do. I don't want to play that kind of spoiler again.
You don't want to break a man's dreams twice and knock him out of playoffs in a meaningless week 9 match for you that's entirely for posturing for next season.
Oh man. Let's take a look at the kill leaders here. What you see is what you get. There's no other Mons with 10 KOs. So you have Dragapult at the... Actually, I think Megalop's at the top. I think Dragapult's inflated by 1 from a Zoroark week against Sparky. So I gotta look into that, if it was the Dragapult that got the extra kill or not. Anywho, neither here nor there. Bod's done something pretty impressive for a 3 and 4 team. He has 2 Mons in the top 4.
It's insane. They have probably like 9. They probably have like 1 or 2 KOs floating out there for other Mons on his team. If neither of those can get the KOs, he's probably gonna lose the match. He probably will lose the match anyway, but they're gonna get a lot of KOs. Like it's pretty impressive how it was like a 1-2 punch with those 2 Mons, and that's about it.
Yeah.
For KOs.
So having kind of said that, looking at this in here, the last Raikou shot up because it had a 6 KO week, but it's 10 and 1, so that's neat. Then the last couple ones, Melmetal, that may be a little more surprising, but it's been a slow grind to get to the 10 from Melmetal.
Yeah. It's like, we're talking like 1.5 kills a week for it, and
Yeah.
it's probably not popping off for anything more than
And
like
then
2
Mega
kills.
Glade, because it's the only offensive piece on my team, so KOs are kind of just falling to it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. I mean, Mega Glade's a pretty good revenger, pretty decent cleaner. So unsurprising that I would accumulate KOs at a 1.5 rate.
Yeah. So that's that, ladies and gents.
Mhm.
We're gonna kind of
Weeks to
close
go.
off. We're getting close to an hour and a half here, so we kind of gotta close it. If you stuck with us this whole time, or even just skipped ahead to the last minute, thank you. We really appreciate you being around. We did just post an announcement, kind of how we're looking forward towards season 2. We're gonna be looking to do a small off-season event to kind of cover a few weeks in between seasons. As we gear up for season 2, we brought on a few new mods servers, so go check them out. Summer we're going to be looking towards season 2, but before season 2 we got to finish season 1. We're going to be covering everything all throughout playoffs, and the recaps will start to look a little different playoffs, but you'll have to bear with me on that. I got some things.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. So thanks again. I'm Dr. Geo. With me is
P McGee.
We'll catch you all later.
Peace.